Hello and welcome, all you wonderful people. I'm Chandan Lahiri. I'm venturing into something which I've never done. I've always wanted to do, but I've never done. I am making an aquarium. This tank is 5 feet long, 14 inches wide, and 18 inches tall. This tank should hold about 300 liters, maybe a little less, and that will bring a lot of fish into this tank. This is going to be a planted aquarium, and I'm going to have terrestrial plants, which is house plants, as well as aquatic plants, which will be under the water. And hopefully this whole place is going to fill up with house plants. And much of this will be with terrestrial plants, and I'm going to have aquascapes with hardscape. So there'll be rocks and there'll be driftwood. Hopefully it'll turn out somewhere near what I expect. And the plants will survive, and once I put the fish in, the fish will survive. The first layer that I'm going to put is lava rocks, crushed lava rocks. Let's put that now. The crushed lava rocks will be my first layer, which will taper from here all the way here. So all my large stem plants will come here. There'll be some hardscape along the center line. And the front I'll cover with sand and hopefully give the fish a lot more place to swim around and be happy. Okay, slight change of plans. When I put the crushed lava rocks, it was barely an inch, a little less, and I needed it about 4 to 5 inches tall at the back. So slight change of plans. I moved all the lava rocks to the front, and what I'm doing is I'll be using gravel. I'll make a gravel bank all the way at the back, which will go up, I hope, about 4 or 5 inches, and then we'll put the lava rock on top of that. We'll put the soil on top of that and put the sand on top of that. A lot of layering still to be done. So now what I have is a pile of gravel which will circulate the water and give the roots of the stem plants something to grab onto. And I've got a lot more on top going down to the bottom of the tank in the front. And now I'll put the lava rocks on top of that. Disclaimer, I know nothing about what I'm doing. Whatever I'm doing is what I've learned through research on the internet. And if things go south after all this effort, not because the information was wrong, but possibly because I'm not such a good student. Gravel is much cheaper than lava rocks, which is pretty much why I did this. And if I were to get more lava rock, this whole contraption would have ended up costing me a lot more. This will do the job, hopefully. Okay, that's looking pretty neat. The gravels, like you saw, it's all laid out at the back, and the lava rock is covering all the gravel all the way, so you can't see the gravel, you can only see the lava rock. And chances are I'll put a little more, not too much, because I've already kind of got the height that I need or want. Now what I thought I would do now is put the hardscape in. This is what I have. Maybe somewhere here, somewhat like this. I don't think this is going anywhere. The second one is this, which again I want to keep the direction of the branches going pretty much in the same direction. So this too will be like this. It needs to get angled probably a little bit more. And I have another piece here. Maybe I'll push this back a little bit, put this under it. Maybe like this. You never know. Just play around. And suddenly the design will start making sense. There's nothing right or wrong about any of the aquascaping designs, at least not for me. I'm still a beginner. As long as it's aesthetically pleasing. How about that? Okay, it is time to show you the light. What is written is vivid solar color 10,000 K. K I suspect is Kelvin. Sunlight is about 6,500 Kelvin, so 10,000 Kelvin. Power is 55 watts. LED super bright, extendable, life spectrum. Whatever those mean. Nothing here. Some pictures here. So Neo Helios flat light XP 1200. That's what the light is. Now I've taken them out of the pack, and this is what you get. I get the strip with 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 40 into 4. There's 160 LEDs in this strip. Comes with a brick and its barcode. Also what I have is 2 of these pieces which will go onto my glass on the tank, and these will be fixed with, I've got 4 of these. They will come here and clamp onto the glass, and I've got 4 of these which will hold the light together. One end will get into the light, the other end will get into the stand, and this one will hover over the tank. This is not a 5-foot light. My tank is 5 feet. So I suspect I'll need to extend it like this. So this gets onto this clamp, and this gets into the light, similarly on the other side, so I can adjust the length of the light. Not so much the height, because this is all I have. And these are the things which get onto which clamp onto the glass, and I'll leave it like this. And screw the bolts on, so this doesn't move, and it gets clamped onto the glass. And now this is not going anywhere. I'll do the same thing on the other side. So that's it. It's not moving anywhere. Now I'll fix the extenders, which are these. Pretty simple. There are 2 slots here. They get into the slot. There you go. Same on this one. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Now to connect the light to these extenders. And there we go. Just try and center the light. So once the light comes on, you'll see immediately the kind of effect it has on the aquarium. And there we go. Pretty decent light, I think. Okay, the lights have been fixed, and I've moved it a little bit to the back because now I'm going to be putting back the hardscape. Okay, so that's looking kind of nice. Now this is the other island, which will be on this side. And lock that. I've got this other branch which I'll move kind of in the direction of the floor, as it were. Hey, welcome back. It's been a couple of days. I was waiting for the soil to arrive, and which I did late last night. And I've got 2 kinds of soil. One is what I really wanted and what everybody says is the best. This is also the most expensive. This is Aquasoil Amazonia version 2 from ADA. I've got 2 bags of these. This is 9 liters each, so that's 18 liters. Primarily this I'll put at the background, and hopefully it'll have enough nutrients to last the tank about 2 years or thereabouts. And the second is platinum soil, again a Japanese product, a Japanese soil. It's a platinum soil which I'll put in the foreground, which is a slow release nutrient soil, which I hope will work well for my foreground plants, primarily my carpeting, which I'm trying to do. So these are the 2 kinds of soil. Just store it all along the foreground. Because of the hardscape, I might have a bit of trouble going on to that side, but we'll figure something out. This is about 3 liters, this particular bag of soil. And the 2 bags of Amazonia are 9 liters each, so that's about 18 liters. Alright, that's done. And now it is time for the ADA Amazonia version 2. That'll go into the background, cover up all the lava rocks. This is the side, so as you can see it's tapering up. And if you can make out, there's lava rocks at the bottom and the soil at the top. And that's pretty much all the way through. And it gives an illusion of depth. Because this is lower and that's higher, it gives an illusion of depth. Or so I've heard. So I'll just clean up the front of the glass, and then we'll fill it up with sand. I have some sand, which is not fine sand, it's coarse sand and some gravel, if you can see. That's the kind of stuff there is, and I'll cover the whole soil up, front to back, and hopefully then it'll be time for planting. Here goes nothing. Once again, I don't know what I'm doing. Now we need to put it in the front first, because if we put it at the back, the weight of the sand will push the soil towards the front. So we need to provide some kind of barrier. It's looking like a riverbed, which is the kind of thing that I'm looking for. Okay, it's all sanded down. The riverbed is ready. The driftwood is there, the stones are there. Now for the plants, and once the planting is done, fill it up with water. And I'll leave it like that, with just the plants in the water for a couple of weeks, so that the plants can grow, the tank will cycle, go through the filter, create some beneficial bacteria before I put the fish in. I haven't decided what fish to put in. I'm leaning towards angelfish and a community tank with angelfish as the feature fish. But we'll see. Maybe discus. Discus is a little more difficult to handle from what I've learned. Angels, about 6 of them in here with large tetras, maybe some shrimp to take care of algae. And then we'll see. My plants have arrived, and it's time to take them out and plant them. So let's see, I've already opened it, but I'll open it for you again. This is from Bunny Cart. I ordered it 3 days ago, and it arrived today. About 100 stems of assorted plants. This is Ludwigia Mini Super Red. This is Rotala rotundifolia High Red, another red plant. Rotala wallichii. Wallichii? I don't know how to pronounce it, but that's the one. Limnophila aquatica giant green. This come in pots. This is Java moss, and it's already pasted on lava rocks. So all I need to do is take it out and place it. Maiaca fluviatilis. Okay. Water lettuce. And I think I got 2 of them. Okay, there's no label on this. Still have to figure out what this is. Dwarf hairgrass. I got 3 of these. And that's about it. These are all my plants. And hopefully once they grow up, which would be a few weeks, I would think, 3 to 4 weeks, it'll fill up the tank with greenery and reds and floating the water lettuce. Hopefully the carpeting will become more across because it'll need to grow. I'll start with the easy one, which is Java moss. That's what it is. You can see it's tied with thread. It's not pasted with super glue. So where does this go? Let's try it here. There's another one. And the third one. The next is a background plant, Limnophila aquatica giant green. This comes in pots, so I'll need to take it out of the pot. Maybe it's got, I think I see rock wool. So I'll need to remove all the rock wool, just have the roots out and then plant it in the back. I'll plant them with tweezers. Okay, I've got them out of the pot. This is what they look like. There are about 15 of these. And I've got a pair of tongs, tweezers. I'll just hold it here and plant it in the corner of the tank. The next is Rotala rotundifolia, high red. As you can see, these are got a red tinge to it, and hopefully with good light, proper carbon dioxide, proper nutrients, these will become nice bright red. I've got 3 of these, and there should be about 15 stems. So what I'm doing is I'm going to just not take them out. I'll just plant them in a bunch in front of these 2. Next I'll put this one, which is again a red, Ludwigia mini super red. This is a mid-ground plant, I believe. So I'll put it here next to that rock hardscape, behind that rock, so it can grow between those 2 branches there. This was also in a bunch. I've just opened them up, and maybe I'll plant them in groups of 2 or 3 stems. 3 or 4 stems there, and a few more. There we go. May not be quite visible now, but once they grow, I suspect it's going to look pretty awesome. Now, these are aquatic plants, so let me just mist them so they don't go dry. Not too much, just enough to keep them happy. Alright, now for the next set of plants. Next we'll plant this. It's Rotala wallichi. And from what I've read, plant these in bunches, which is what I'll do. It goes in there. A second bunch. The next one's going to be Maiaca fluviatilis. Again, I got 3 bunches, and I could break them up into 6 maybe. This bunch I'll plant together. I'm quite happy with the way these plants arrived. They're still wet, they are moist, they still got water in it, there's humidity, the plants look healthy. And okay, let's plant it here. And another bunch, well, almost next to it. The next thing I'll put is the dwarf hair grass. It comes in these pots, and I opened one of these pots. It comes like this, and there's a lot of soil which I need to remove. Okay, 3 pots with the dwarf hair grass. They are all out, and this is what they are. I've cleaned out all the soil. Now to plant them all over the foreground. Dwarf grass is a carpeting plant, and there'll be runners that they'll grow below the soil or through the soil below the surface, and those will end up growing new plants. The hair grass has been planted. I don't know how much you can see. Maybe in a couple of weeks when they grow up, and in a couple of months when they carpet the whole foreground, it will end up looking awesome. These are some Rotala rotantifolia pink. I've just taken them out of the bunch. I'm saying all this with so much of confidence. I'm a complete novice. This is Ludwiga repens. I don't know what color they'll turn out to be. They're slightly red and green, a mix of them. The next plant is Rotala Wallichi mexicana. Plant them next to this hardscape here. I think these also grow tall and red. If it does, it'll really give a pop to the tank. I think I'm going to be butchering this name. Limnophila hyparidoides. I'm assuming it's a mid-ground plant. Quite thick stems actually. The next one is Acmella repens. This again comes in a bunch. Somewhere here. This one is Lysimachia nomularia. It's supposed to be a creeping plant on the foreground, so I'll put it maybe somewhere here. It'll creep all over the place. Let me try it here. And let's see. I'll put a second bunch here. The next one is a hydrocotyle verticillata. Hydrocotyle verticillata. I'm certain I'm butchering the name. It's also supposed to be a foreground creeping plant. I'll put them in a corner. There's 2 more stems. 2 more here. The next plant is Floscopa scandens. I believe is a mid-ground to background plant. Grows like a bamboo, which should give it a very distinct appearance to the tank. There we go. This one is Ammonia bonsai. And I just read up something on it. Planted in a bunch, and it gives a pretty decent visual look. But it can grow up to 30 centimeters. That's what I read, which is almost a foot. So maybe I'll put it up here so it can grow up about there. Fair bit of green. And hopefully it's going to fill up, and I still don't have terrestrial plants up here. So there'll be a lot of terrestrial plants up along the back growing above the tank, and these will be here. So the water's done. The plants are looking healthy. Yeah, some of them are wilting a little bit, and I've also put the water lettuce on top. There's a bit of muck, something oily on the surface, which I suspect once I put the filter, it'll filter it through. So the next is I'm going to be putting the carbon dioxide cylinder and the filter. Now is the time to install the CO2 canister. This is a 2 kilo canister. Alright, the CO2 canister has been fixed. As you can see, the bubbles are going through this little contraption, which tells me the amount of CO2 that is going into the tank. Since this does not have a solenoid and it doesn't switch off or switch on between day and night, I'm going to keep it at about this speed, which is about 1 bubble per second. And you can barely see it, but that's where the CO2 diffuser is, and that's what's filling it in the tank. This filter is possibly bigger than what is required for this tank, but bigger is always better. This is the Dolphin C1600 canister filter. The power is 27.5 watts, 2,540 liters per hour. My tank is about 260, 270 liters. So this is perfect. So it'll cycle it about 8 to 10 times every hour. There we go. Nothing else in there except there's this package here, which I suspect are all the cables, pipes. Okay, more connectors, 2 pipes. Okay, so I've got all these filter media containers. The top one was empty. This one has got ceramic rings. This has got activated charcoal, which is very good for removing bacteria and stuff like that. The problem is, it will also remove the beneficial bacteria that I'm putting in. So I'll remove this, I'll not use this, because even though it's a very good filter, it will remove beneficial bacteria, which I don't want. I need beneficial bacteria. And the bottom container is filter sponge, coarse and fine. So that gets into the bottom. So I've removed activated charcoal. What I have is a different 3D media. It is in mesh bags. So I'll just take one of these containers, put the media in it, and I'll put this in. Now the ceramic rings are in a plastic bag, so I need to cut this, put it in this container. There we go. So the ceramic rings comes in next, and each of these slots into the one below it. Just give it a little bit of a press. We got the last one. Cut that up. Put the cover on. Now I need to figure out all the connections. Okay, it wasn't so tricky. So you have an in and an out, and so one is for sucking the water from inside the tank into the filter, and another one is to throw the water from after the filter has done its job, going through the various substrates and the media, put it back into the tank, hopefully with much clearer water. So you got two pipes, one is on this, one is on this, and it's pretty simple to set up. And you got this unit here, which will just prevent debris from getting into the filter, so that will filter it out. This gets into the tank, it pulls the water from within the tank, gets into the inlet pipe, and then filters it, and then it throws it back with this pipe back into the tank. This is a spray bar, which I'll put at the back. This is about 2.5 feet, and it's got little holes all along it. So when the water comes out back into the tank, the water will spray out from here, give it a lot more surface agitation, and it'll look pretty neat actually, almost like a waterfall. Now, let me put the filter on. I've got the spray bar there. It's a little too intense, but for the moment, I like the effect. Take a look. Let me switch this on. There we go. It's a little intense, but I like it. So the water in the tank is getting pulled out through this tube. It'll go into the filter. The filter will do its thing and then spit it out, and it'll come out through the spray bar. And this will be cleaner water. So this is the bacteria Super 400. That's all it says. There are no instructions or anything. All right, all three of these are substrate additives, which probably means I should have added it when I was applying the substrate. Since I haven't done that, I'll just put it in here. So this is powder. The next one, tourmaline. I don't think there's any particular sequence. And the last one. Now, with the filter on, there's a lot of splashes which are happening onto the light, and I hope the light is waterproof. But obviously, there's a lot of water which has gone into the filter. This has gone down in size, in depth. So I need to top this water up and also reduce the intensity of the spray bar. Let's do that. Now this is filling up, so I'll take it all the way up to here, leave about an inch from the top. The filter has been running for a while. The cloudiness is still there, but it's gone down. So I guess the filter is doing whatever it's supposed to do. And what I'll do now is use this product, which is Aquarium Clear. This is supposed to clean the water a little bit more. It'll also prevent algae, I believe. It's been about a week since we planted, and I let it be. The water's been cycling, and when I look at this after about a week, maybe 10 days, I'll put the date up, and I don't see any biofilm on the surface of the water. So the water's pretty clean. It's pretty much crystal clear actually, and there's been a lot of plant growth. And what I've also done is added some red root floaters today, a little while ago, and I'll take the camera up closer and show you the growth of the plants and the red root floaters. Also the water lettuce, a lot of roots have grown on the water lettuce, so that's a good sign. I would have preferred the greens and the reds to be a little more vibrant. The greens are relatively okay. I see a lot of new leaves here. but the red plants are not yet quite red. Maybe it'll take a bit more time. So the plants have certainly grown a lot taller, and a lot of new leaves have come up, as you can probably see. Now this one is supposed to be red. It's a combination of green and yellow, but it's certainly grown, so I don't think that it's melting yet. So that's pretty much it. There is a red plant there which is showing signs of being red. There's another red plant here which is showing signs of vibrant red actually. And these are the red roof floaters which I just put a little while ago. And if I show you from the bottom, let's see, you can see the roots of the water lettuce. They are really, really grown. At least some of them, maybe not all of them. And the one thing which I'm facing is the spray bar, which is possibly a little too strong, which is why, if you see this, it's going round and round in circles. And because of the kind of whirlwind effect, some of the plants are floating down and then circling up. I don't know if that's good for the plants or not. Anyway, I'll leave this be for a while, and what I'll do now is add some plant food, liquid fertilizer, and what I have is these two things. This is plant food, nitrogen, potassium, and phosphate. So this is one I'll put. I'll have to check the dosage. And this one is plant health formula. So both of these, the plant food as well as the plant health formula, the dosage is 10 ml for 100 liters. And I've got about 250 liters here. So I'll put about 3 caps, I would guess. That should be good enough. That's 1. That's 2. And that's 3 of plant food. And this is the plant health formula. Again, I'll put 3 caps in. That should help in plant growth. I ordered some terrestrial plants, some house plants a couple of days ago. 2 of them have come. 2 more are coming in a couple of days. What have come are coleus and peace lily. It's come in a nice pot. And these, I suspect, will become nice and red when they grow up. This would be peace lily, which is an extremely interesting plant to act as a backdrop. Again in pots, 2 of them. That's 1, and that's 2. They don't have the flowers yet. So these are cleaned, and what I've done is I've taken the little pots and put the coleus in one, and I'll put both the peace lilies in either 1 or 2. I haven't decided that yet. This will hang on the back of the tank, and I've got a little hanging thing designed with some wire left over that I had. The roots are pretty long, so I'll put them in, and I only hope that the plant doesn't topple over. So this seems to be a good place to put it. This should grow up into a nice big bunch. And I'm thinking I'll put the peace lilies next to this driftwood here, next to the driftwood and the spider plant, at least 1 of them there, and 1 probably next to it. So I'll need 2 pots. Okay, 1 peace lily is in. Again, fairly good root system. That way, 1 pretty long. While I was taking it out of the soil, I might have broken some of the roots, but that's all right. Put this in, and this would go somewhere here. This one too has a fairly decent root system.
I don't know how long it'll take for it to develop water roots, because these are soil roots. That budget there probably doesn't need a pot. There. And if you look at the tank from a distance, it's not looking too bad. And once I have the terrestrial plants growing, it'll give a nice backdrop to the entire tank. Some more plants possibly at the bottom, inside the water. They're growing quite well actually. A lot of new leaves. Except the grass, well, grass takes a little bit of time. I see new blades. So I guess in about 3 weeks, 4 weeks, the grass will take hold. That red is coming out nicely. That red behind is coming out nicely. This could be a little bit more. This is supposed to be red. This is not yet red. And I've got my friend, the Buddha. I don't know if you noticed him. I put him a few days ago. I added some cleanup crew. Not too many. I added 6 corridors and 6 Chinese algae eaters yesterday. But they're virtually invisible because they've gone into the nooks and crannies, and I suspect they're a little bit stressed. And despite the fact that there are 12 little fish, they're not large, they're all over the nooks and crannies, and I can't really see them. The other problem which I'm facing, and I'll bring the camera close, is, which I've talked about before, is the spray bar. Now this is a 5-foot tank, and the spray bar is about till here, which is about half the tank. So all this area is a dead zone. There is no movement of the surface water. There's no circulation happening. And additionally, I've got my CO2 diffuser in this corner. So what's happening is the CO2 is just coming up and getting wasted. It's not circulating in the rest of the tank. So I suspect the lack of vibrancy in the colors of the plants is because the plants are not getting enough CO2. So what I've ordered is a wave maker. So I'll put the wave maker up somewhere here and point it downwards. So all these bubbles which are coming up will get dispersed throughout the length of the tank, and hopefully that will ensure that much of the water is infused with CO2, which all the plants get equally. I received 2 packets today. This is an air pump, not an air pump, it's a wave maker, and this is to work alongside the spray bar, because my spray bar is much shorter than what the tank requires. So the CO2 is not getting across the entire water volume. So I'll put this in a little bit. Let me put this to the side, and I've got some plants. Vallisneria. These look small, but it's going to grow almost a foot. I've got 3 Vallisneria nanas, these 3 here. I've got some Amazon sword. These are broadleaf, and these are Anubias barteri. So I got 6 Vallisnerias, 6 Anubias, and some Amazon sword. So the Anubias will go into the hardscape, and I'll just put it into these nooks and crannies and jam them in. Where should I put another one? Maybe here. Nice root system actually. This seems to be a good spot. Jam it in. I have one more, which maybe I can put here. The next are my Vallisneria plants. These guys. That's one done. put another thick thick bunch on the side wall here. This will give a nice background to the tank once these grow up. Okay, now to open the wave maker. This is from Sun. It's the Sun Wavemaker JVP120. Alright, let's fix the Wavemaker. I think I'm going to put it slightly off center towards the back and slightly to the top and point it towards the front glass. What will then happen is not only will I get water circulation because of the Wavemaker, but all the carbon dioxide which is coming up will also get mixed up in the water and hopefully go through the rest of the tank and saturate the water with some carbon dioxide, which is much needed for the plants. Alright, there is a lot of surface agitation, and all this stuff which was stuck around here will get circulated with the filter, and hopefully things are going to get much better. There's a lot of packets arriving, and every day I seem to be getting a new packet. Today I've got another one. Let me show you what this is. It's one of the more important pieces of equipment that one will need once we get a little more into the hobby, which I seem to have done in the last month or so. This is a carbon dioxide drop checker. It comes in this bubble wrap, and it's a little glass thingy. Right? That's what it looks like. I hope you can make it out. And it comes with a suction cup, which will get in here, and it comes with a solution. Now, what is so special about a drop checker? This I've found to be one of the more common questions that people ask for tanks that are infused with carbon dioxide, which is a critical element. Well, it's not an element. Carbon dioxide is a gas. It's a critical gas that is required for plant growth. Now, a lot of people ask this question: how many bubbles per second? How long should I put carbon dioxide? Should it be more or less? Does it depend on the size of the tank? So on and so forth. This is a very commonly asked question. And there are all kinds of answers. But with a drop checker, you can be closer to optimal as far as your carbon dioxide infusion in your tank is concerned. This is a solution which is a pH sensitive solution that changes color based on carbon dioxide levels, right? So this solution is called, let me get this right. This solution is called bromothymol blue, right? And if your carbon dioxide is less, or if it's more than what is required, what is optimal, this liquid will change color. This liquid will be inside this little bubble here, which is inside your tank. We'll fill the solution up into this bubble, and noticing the color change, if any, of the solution in this bubble, we'll be able to figure out whether our carbon dioxide is optimal or not. We are gunning for green. Green is optimal. Now, green is a combination of blue and yellow. If the color of the liquid in this bubble is blue, it means there's too little carbon dioxide. And if it's yellow, there is too much. If it's too low, increase the carbon dioxide. If it's yellow, decrease the carbon dioxide. What you're gunning for is green. Green is ideal. That's what the tank requires. And that's the amount of carbon dioxide that needs to be infused into the tank. Forget about bubbles per second and how long and how much and all that guesswork. Take that guesswork out of it. Just look at this little bubble and check the color. After we install it, it'll take 2 or 3 hours before the color change actually happens. So we'll put it up, we'll wait for 3-4 hours to see what happens. The second question which people ask is, when should I infuse carbon dioxide? Plants need carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, and that starts when the lights come on, when it's sunrise. Most tanks should be keeping the lights on for 8 hours, 9 hours, sometimes 10 hours. Now let's assume it is 8 hours. That's when the lights come on. That's when photosynthesis will start. Now, a lot of people say carbon dioxide infusion should start at the same time as when the lights come on. Some people say it should start 1 hour before. Some people say it should start 2 hours before, 3 hours before. Again, there's a lot of guesswork and a lot of answers. What I've kind of figured out with this drop checker, as it's called, carbon dioxide needs to be optimal when the plant needs it. So as the lights come on, your tank water needs to be optimally infused with carbon dioxide. So again, there's a little bit of trial and error. Obviously, if you start the carbon dioxide the moment the light comes on at the same time, the carbon dioxide is going to take some time to infuse into the entirety of the water of the tank. If you start it 3 hours early, there might be too much carbon dioxide. If you start it an hour before, it might take a little while longer for optimal levels to be reached. The color might still be blue. So there's a little bit of trial and error, but chances are that you'll need to start it before the lights come on and then check how long it takes for the color to turn green. That's when it's optimal, and that's when the lights should come on. So if we can figure that one out, that this is the time it takes for my carbon dioxide to become optimal and the color to turn green, that's when the lights turn on. Whether it's half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, that is what you need to check. So now that we have got the basic workings of a drop checker, carbon dioxide drop checker, let's install it. This is a 15 ml bottle of bromothiamol blue, and I need to add 15 drops into this bubble, and I need to change this liquid from inside this every month, every 30 days or so. So I need to take this out, clean out the liquid, clean the drop checker, put in 15 drops all over again, and then put it back in the tank. So let's open this and count 15 drops. I need to put it here and it'll go into this bubble. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, that's 15 drops. Let's close the lid again. And this liquid needs to get into this bubble. So I rotate it and I've got it here. You see that? Now this is going to lay like that. This is a suction cup which will go against the glass. This is entirely very nice blue, which means there's very low CO2. Now when we put it into the glass, wait for a couple of minutes, this reacts with the water in the tank. This, hopefully, is going to turn green. Let me put it into the tank. In an area with good flow, without algae. That's where you need to put it. All right, here goes. My CO2 diffuser is at the other end of the tank. There's a 5-foot column of water, and I'm going to be putting this just under the surface of the water. I'm going to be putting it here. This is at the center of the sidewall. Maybe I'll put it a little lower. There we go. Now to wait for a few hours to see what kind of color change there is. I'm hoping the blue changes to green. This is the next day, almost 24 hours later, and maybe you can see it is green, not blue, not yellow, which means my carbon dioxide is optimal all across the tank. This is the next day, and do you see any change in the tank? It's been only 24 hours since the last clip, but maybe if you pay a little attention, you'll find two changes that have happened on the aquarium. The first, I put some lucky bamboo. I've been wanting lucky bamboo for a while. I finally got them today, and I put up these bunches in these pot holders here. Hopefully they're going to thrive and grow. They are slow growing, but let's see. I like lucky bamboo, and I'm hoping they thrive. And the second thing I hope you have noticed is these plastic bags. The fish are finally here. Not all of them, but I've got fish. And finally, there'll be some livestock in this tank. And they've been acclimating to the temperature for a little while, for about an hour now. And the temperature of the water in the tank and the temperature of the water in these bags hopefully have equalized, and once I release the fish into the tank, they will not get shocked. First will be these corridors. I've got about a dozen of them. They're algae eaters, and hopefully they'll do the job of keeping the tank clean. All right, there they go. Those are the corridors. Immediately sunk to the bottom, where they belong, where they live. Okay, time for Raminos tetras. Here they are. And now to release them. Come on, little babies. The next one are ember tetras. Again, beautiful looking fish. They'll add a lot of color. They're red. They'll add a lot of color to the tank, I'm hoping. This is what they are. Still small. They'll grow up a little bit. Let's release these. All right, babies. Time to find a new home. There they go. And finally, what I think are the most beautiful fish that are going to be in this aquarium. All of them are beautiful, but the final one are these little guys. The cardinal tetras. I don't have as many as I wanted. There are only about 10 of them here. I've ordered 20 more, so they'll form a nice school. There'll be 20 cardinal tetras. There'll be a total of 30 cardinal tetras. Here we go. Cardinal tetras. They're a little skittish at the moment. The moment the camera came in front, they kind of moved to the side. They're coming back into frame. Awesome. Let's put some life back into the tank. The corridors are very active. So are the Raminos, so are the cardinals, exploring their new habitat. Enjoy yourselves, and I hope you have a lovely time in your new home. I was getting a little concerned with the vibrancy of the colors, of the greens particularly. They weren't as green as I thought the green should be. So maybe there was a lack of nutrients. I was providing nutrients from a different brand. But what I've done now is I've got another brand of nutrients which contains both macro and micro, and it's an all-in-one nutrient. So everything that the plants require is in that one package, in one bottle. And this is supposed to be a good one, and a lot of people are using it with a lot of success. And it is this one. It's called APT3. So this has got everything in it, and this is a 1 liter bottle, and according to the dosage instructions, it is supposed to be 3 ml per 100 liters daily. This is about 250, little over 250 liters. So which means it needs to be 3 and 3, 6 into 8 ml every day. This much. It has got all the macro and micronutrients that the plants need. Just put it on the surface, and that should provide the nutrients. In about 7 or 10 days, I'll be able to figure out the difference in the growth of the plants and the vibrancy of the colors. Okay, it's been about 40 days since the aquarium project started, and I have not changed the water. It's been 40 days. From what I hear, there needs to be regular water changes, and primarily when you see the water clarity going down, cloudiness coming in, the fish not being healthy, going to the surface to breathe, all that has not happened. Even the plants seem to be healthy, but I have not changed the water. And I thought maybe it's time that I conducted a test at least to figure out whether the quality of the water is what it should be, and whether I need to change it. 10%, 20%, 50%, depending on the test results. So what I've got is this master test kit. It is by Bionics, an Indian brand, and this will test pH, ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. And there's a bunch of things in this pack which I'll take out. This is ammonia reagent 1. This is nitrite nitrate reagent 1, ammonia reagent 2, ammonia reagent 3. This is pH, nitrite nitrate reagent 2, and I have a powder which is a nitrate reagent. So and it comes with a syringe, instruction manual, a little spoon for the powder, small little guy, and this is a needle to open up these reagent bottles. There's a lot of instructions in this on how to use it, how to test it. I've written some of this down. What it also has at the end of the booklet are these test cards. So when we put the reagents into these test tubes along with the tank water, they'll change color. And depending on the color, when we check the colors with these color cards, we'll get to know what the amount of each of these elements are: ammonia, pH, nitrite, nitrate, etc. So what I've got is a bit of tank water in this, and I don't want to go wrong. So first we'll be testing pH. It says add 2.5 milliliters of water. That's all the way to 2.5, as you can see. We'll put this into this bottle, into this test tube. Put this aside, and we need to add 3 drops of solution of the pH reagent. It says pH. 1, 2, and 3. And shake it for 5 seconds. Now I need to check it with the chart. Put it next to it. We can look at the color and match it with the color in the chart. So this corresponds to 7.5. So the pH in my tank is 7.5. Next will be ammonia. So again, we need 2.5 ml of water. We need to add 4 drops each of reagent 1 and 2. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. and 4 drops of reagent 2, 3 and 4. And then I need to shake it for 5 seconds. I need to add reagent 3. Now I need to shake it for 15 seconds. So that's 15 seconds. Now I need to wait for 15 to 20 minutes for this to change color. So I'll keep it in front. Maybe I'll raise it a little bit so that you can see it a little better. Okay. Now to wait for 15-20 minutes. Alright, it's been a little over 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes actually. So it's time to check the color. We are checking for ammonia, and if we check it, yeah, this is 0 parts per million. That's absolutely perfect. So there's no ammonia in the water, in the tank. Nitrites have got 2 reagents, bottle 1 and bottle 2. We'll take this test tube and 2 ml of water. Put it into the test tube, and we need 2 drops of reagent 1. That's 1, 2, and shake for 10 seconds. All right. Now we add 2 drops of reagent 2, 1 and 2, and shake for 5 seconds. Again, I need to wait for 5 minutes. I'll keep that here, wait for the color to change. Okay, that's about 5 minutes. And to check it with the color card, this is the card for nitrites, and if I put it here, which one do you think it is? I would say it is this guy, 0 parts per million, which is absolutely fine. The last one, nitrates. We need 2 milliliters of water. Now we need the reagent, this guy. We've got a nice little spoon here, and we'll take out, that should be about right. Wait for about a minute for the powder to dissolve. That should be all right. And then we drop 2 drops of reagent 1 and shake it for 5 seconds. Then we drop 2 drops of reagent 2 and shake it again for 5 seconds. Now we need to leave it for 10 minutes. Again, we are looking for a very light pink, which would be 0 parts per million. And anything above 50 is a problem. So even if it's 5 to 10, I suspect it should be all right. But we'll wait 10 minutes and see where we stand. Okay, so that's 10 minutes. Let's check it with our card. So what do you think? It's certainly not 0. And I think it's a little more than 5, but less than 10. So it's somewhere between 5 and 10. So 7 or 8. So we are good. From what I think, I don't need a water change. Not yet, at least. I've got a lot of plants in the tank. I've also got house plants, pothos primarily, lucky bamboo, which are also pulling nitrates. So I don't think I need an immediate water change. So far so good. I'm glad I did this though, because I was getting a little concerned that I hadn't checked my water parameters ever. So about 40 days in, these are the results. It's been about 3 weeks since my last clip that you saw in the video, and I thought I would give you an update. As you can probably see, the greens, the plants are doing very, very well, including the terrestrials. And all of them are doing well, except the coleus, that melted, and the spider plant melted. All the rest are doing pretty, very well. And I was very, very satisfied pleasantly with the experiment that I did with the sweet potato. I put that in and the vines are all over the place. It took about 10-12 days to sprout, and it's now vining all over. Everything else is doing well. I have trimmed them a little bit, twice or thrice over the last few weeks, and they're doing quite well. The amber tetras, the cardinals, the lemon tetras, they're doing quite well. The cardinals, I think some of them have died, because I used to have about more than 20. There are about 10 now, so some of them have not made it. The red plants are not there. I put some red plants, I wanted some red into the greenery, into the plant life, but that's not there, unfortunately. But there was one fish that I really wanted to put in this tank from the very beginning, and I was in two minds about it. And today I have them, and I'll show you in a bit. My only worry is these guys here, the tetras, are not ideal tank mates for the fish that I'm going to put in. But over the last 2 months, almost 2 months, they would have kind of figured out their territory. The new fish will have to figure out their territory, and they are juveniles. So I'm hoping there's no conflict between the two. And now it's time to divulge the fish and add them to the tank. You know which ones they are? I'll just show you. These guys. I don't know if you can make them out. These are 4 angelfish, juveniles. There are 4 of them, 2 black and 2 silver. I'm hoping that there's not too much conflict. They thrive and prosper and give a lot of joy to me and everyone else who comes looking at this aquarium. And certainly, I hope they make friends with the other fish. So those are my tetras, and they'll take a bit of time to figure out their new environment, find their own territory. And I also have more fish. I needed some color in the tank. The tetras are certainly providing some color, but the ones that I have and I'm going to be adding now are larger tetras and colorful tetras. These are widow tetras, and I've got reds, yellows, goldens, silver and green. Now to add these guys into the tank, and I hope they're happy, healthy, and again, don't fight with the others. Alright guys, let's go. There they go. Again, they'll need some time to acclimatize, to figure out where they are, their new home, and then hopefully over the next few days they'll settle down. So that's where we are after almost 2 months of work, and I'm hoping this is going to get much better as time goes by. I'm very happy that I've put all these fish, particularly the angelfish and the widow tetras. The amber tetras, the cardinal tetras, the lemon tetras, they seem to be happy so far. The raminos, they are in a little bit of stress. They are schooling because they got new tank mates. but hopefully that'll settle down over the next couple of days. The widow tetras seem to be very active. So that's about it. So what I tried to do in the beginning, which I didn't think I would be it would be possible for me to do, but I have. Nobody starts, or not nobody, but I don't think beginners would start with a 5-foot tank, a 65-gallon tank. But I did, and it seems to be going pretty well. And I hope that I can add more aquariums and more fish into my basement here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up and subscribe. There are a lot more good stuff on my channel. I'll see you when I'll see you. Cheers.